I am about to rank Degrassi freaking characters because this is one of my favorite shows of all time. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to be here for 3 billion years, I promise, and I'll try. This is going to be a long ride and not know it. Alright, here are our tiers. Instantly iconic is the top tier. Loved, second tier. Liked means you're pretty cool, you're whatever, but you're not loved. Deserved better, which means I liked you and the show did you dirty. And then this tier, you can stay, but you're on thin ice, which means you kind of gotta go, but you're like decent. I don't dislike you too much. Please stop means please. I wish you were never written into this show. Get off my favorite show because yuck means you really should not be on my favorite show, and it would have been far better if you never existed on my show. Thank you. My show. Okay. Paige is instantly iconic. One of the best characters in this show. I don't care. Darcy's up there. Darcy's one of my top 5 favorite characters. Let me explain for 3 seconds. Darcy went through so much. And she had a sister on the show, which is nice. I like how they segue into the next generation. I like that she brought a sibling in there. And I like how, back to Paige. Paige was a nice, mean girl. You understood why she did what she did. She was nice to Emma, but she also stood her ground with, Hazel. And didn't let anybody talk to her however she wanted. When she liked a guy, she got him. She fought a little dirty, but hey. Declan, I'm sorry, though I said I am Declan on my second channel when I played a Degrassi game, Declan is one of the characters that make up my personality. Sadly, I have to put him on Get Off My Favorite Show, please, and yuck. I didn't want to do this to you, Declan, but you did not make the show better. You made it worse. You tried to turn it into a poor version of Gossip Girl with your riches and rich lifestyle that no one could relate to. Even if you were a rich kid, and I always say this, if you're rich, why are you at a public school? Go to a private school. Why be miserable here? Leave. Imogen is tough because if you didn't have that 1A plot with your father, you would have been down here with Declan. So you will go on Please Stop, but you can also be on thin ice because I tolerate you. You were decent, but you were almost a cartoon character. You go on Please Stop, you were almost on thin ice. Eli Goldsworthy. The reason I could make it through season 10, listen, you're not going to go too high. I liked Eli, but again, he was a little too much. It was always over a girl. He had no other issues outside of a girl. I don't like it when a Degrassi character's issues are confined to a love interest. What did he go through personally? What kind of personal growth did he have about him, not Claire? I'm gonna put liked. You don't deserve to go that high. Ali Bandari. Ali is, I liked Ali. There was nothing wrong with her. I liked her storyline with Johnny. She was decent. She didn't struggle too much, which was nice. Her family dynamic was decent. The way she read her diary to them so they didn't have to read it. Wow, that took a lot of guts. Her going to private school, them never believing her, them thinking she was like a harlot and a hussy, and she was just trying to wear clothes that weren't hideous and just have a boyfriend to be just like everybody else, basically. And it was kind of sad watching her get blamed for everything. She goes and loved. I don't flip out over Allie's storylines like that. But she's loved. She was almost next to Eli. Honestly, I ought to put her next to Eli. I should. But I really liked her storyline with Dave, but that's more Dave than her. Yeah, she goes next to Eli. Leia. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put you on yuck. Get off my favorite show, please. I'm not disgusted by you. You just didn't bring anything to the show at all. Just boringness. That storyline about you, Shantae, and Danny put me to sleep. Oh my gosh, that story about her lying about her knowing Pete Wentz. Cornball. Absolute cornball, Leia. No. Just why? Why be on my favorite show if that's all you can amount to? Talking about Fall Out Boy. Corny. Moving on. Johnny. Johnny was very well... I can't even speak. Deserved better. Easily. Johnny was the friend of Drake, not Drake, like the rapper, but Drake, the redhead boy that stabbed JT. I feel like there could have been more there. I wanted to see Johnny's home life. Johnny tried to have little B plots here and there. They were decent with him fighting with Bruce the Moose and getting bodied by Spinner and all those things. That was decent. Him pursuing Ellie was nice. I liked seeing what kind of person he was and how he was book smart. And how he's like so dominant in personality, but also slightly insecure and always kind of hid behind his tougher best friends. I like that, and I wanted to see more about Johnny, and he didn't have enough for me to put him in liked, but I did. I can put Johnny in loved because I loved this character. They don't show characters like this enough. He's like Sean, but like a different variation of Sean. They don't... I feel like the Ravine characters, like the Jays, the Alex, and the Seans, became a rarity as Degrassi progressed into their Gossip Girl stage 2000... Or, not 2000... Well, yeah, in 2010. Season 10 is where they kind of started their Gossip Girl era, their makeshift Gossip Girl era. And that's when I couldn't connect to it. Too many characters were rich, and I was like, isn't this a public school? If they're all rich, go to private school. Go be homeschooled with a public tutor or private tutor. Like, what the frick are you doing in a public school? Lola. If it wasn't for the storyline with Miles, the Hope storyline, the play, if it wasn't for the Hope storyline, I swear you would be on Get Off My Favorite Show Yuck. But that Hope storyline really did save her character. So, just like Imogen, you can go and please stop. Tiny Bell. We never did learn Tiny's full name. What is his government name? Is Bell even his last name? But, he did bring in that cringy gangster storyline. That was, in my opinion, watered down. It could have been way more intense. I think the gang storyline should have ended with one of the prominent characters, getting wiped out completely. I think that would just send home the message of how dangerous gangs actually are. But then again, it is Canadian, so I don't know how true that is out there. But in America, no doubt, Zig or Tiny would have been done. Or the brother. The brother went to jail. He's more likely to have gotten taken out. Or Drew. Drew got beat up. Drew or Tiny or Zig should have got offed. I think that would have been more realistic for the gang storyline. A boy got paralyzed, but I don't think that was enough either. It ends with them leaving, pretty lifeless. So, that's just how that goes. Tiny is in a cartoon character. He doesn't deserve to be down there with them. But he was boring. He almost is... He can be and deserved better. But honestly, he stayed true to his character. There's no flip-flopping. He can be on thin ice, though. Because I didn't like the way he handled the situation with Shae and Lola. He didn't make it clear to Shae that that's who he wanted. He participated in that stupid game. What the frick was that game they played in the closet? 30 Seconds in Heaven? I don't like how he even entertained that. Knowing that you were dating Lola only a few weeks ago. So lame. Frankie was very well written. I wish she was like the main character they would have started off in season 14, not Maya. That would have made the show so much better. Sadly, that didn't happen. It got canceled around Frankie's reign. But I did like Frankie for that reason. She was adorable. But she was a rich girl, so I didn't like that. So she wasn't gonna have too many problems. Or any relatability that she couldn't throw money at, what she did with everything. Literally, the one storyline I liked of Frankie's was the storyline with the North Tech girls and the mural with the zoo animals. That was a very good storyline. But Frankie quite literally, used her money to try to make the issue go away. She paid for all the girls' lattes. Like, she was really trying to buy her way out of that. And I don't like how rich characters can just throw money at their problem. It makes them hard to relate to. But that doesn't make Frankie terrible. I'm gonna put her up here in liked. I liked Frankie. I did. Jenna. When Jenna first showed up, she was very annoying. I didn't like how she was trying to break apart Casey and then also Claire and Ellie. And then she goes off to say, oh, I want to be friends with both of you. Did you? You should have just done that. But it looked like she really only wanted to be friends with Claire and then Allie was just there, so she pretended like she wanted to be friends. And then they grew on each other, then I guess it was genuine after that. That scene when she tried to fight Casey. Oh no, she did fight Casey. She didn't try. She hit him with her guitar. That happened. That really happened. That was insanity, Jenna. You had one of the best freaking A-plots. Oh, excuse me, arcs. That pregnancy arc with Jenna. Oh my gosh, that crap was so good. I'm gonna put her in the song she sang. I loved everything Jenna sang. Oh my gosh, I can start singing right freaking now. Oh my goodness, Jenna's songs. And she was such a nice singer. That's what I missed on Degrassi. Characters that could actually sing like Craig. Instead, we had like Peter. What is dorky, weird, bizarre rock that he was just making noise basically. It was so disturbing, and it made the show annoying anytime he popped up on screen. I hated Peter for that. I wanted him to get off my favorite show. But I loved everything Jenna song. Goodbye, white horse. Like, just for that, she ought to go to Loved. Jenna's amazing, and I liked her storyline. Danny was adorable, and Danny's been on the show forever. Liberty's little brother. He fought JT when he found out that JT got his sister pregnant. That was cool of him. He was also helping JT in the bathroom with that pump. That was crazy. And then he grew up to be friends with Derek, that psychopath. And then he branched away from Derek and didn't become anything like him. So I liked him, but he was boring. Oh my gosh, when Danny got older, he was boring and had 0 A-plots. For a character that was there that long, no A-plots, he belongs on Deserved Better. There could have been more there. Jake. If you've seen, again, on my second channel, my gaming channel, Jake is another one of those characters that make up my personality. You can stay, but you're on thin ice. That's where Jake goes. Because I like Jake. He was down to earth, he was relatable, he was chill. The way he dated Jenna, the way he dated Claire, I don't know, I liked that he was a decent love interest. He wasn't too messy. And then we started dating Katie and they made that garden together. That was cute. I like Jake. Marisol was so angry with Katie for liking Drew, but Katie should have knew the girl code. They were best friends. Why would you go after someone Marisol wants? Why do that, Katie? This is your best friend out of all the boys in the school to pick from. Yeah, he did try to date Marisol first, and she rejected Drew. Remember that? Did she reject him, or how did it go again? I forgot. I think it was something about he didn't want her because she was pretending like she liked everything he liked. So she already tried. He tried to date her twice, I believe. So it's not that Drew didn't like Marisol. He did, but Marisol was not his type. Personality-wise, it didn't work. So there wasn't any A-plots with this character whatsoever. We don't know anything about her family or anything like that. She was just kind of like Shantae. So I don't know. What was there any depth here? I don't even know if there's anything to like start or begin with. Danny had something to go with. Johnny had more to go with. She's on my please stop category. Story, nothing changed. Easily Maya goes on Get Off My Favorite Show. Yuck. She's the biggest cartoon character and flip-flopper and personality the show has ever had. Her personality switches. She had too many different personalities. A lot of people in the fan base like to blame it on the fact that what happened to Cam, but she was acting like that before Cam. Remember she stabbed Tori in the back for no reason? And then she pretends to be this good girl, but then she's gonna write that song about... Who did she make that song about? Hurting who? Was it Terry? She made that song about... Or not Terry. What the freak is this character's name? Tori Santa Maria. She made a horrible song about her or whatever. And she didn't get arrested. Like, she fakes innocent, but she's not innocent. Her trying to be, like, cool when she went to, like, the rubber room with the lip ring and the black hair and all that goofy stuff. Like, she looks like such a loser trying to pretend to, like, fit in with something she didn't understand. Like, all those other kids come from, like, impoverished areas, and they don't just dress up, and they wear what they can. And they try to look cool, too, without looking like bums. But she's, like, the suburban rich girl, and she's, like, mocking them, basically, when she put that crap on. And I was like, oh, she's so lame. Ugh. And then by season 4, Maya was great in season 4. I liked her. But it was too late. It was too late. She finally mellowed out for me to like her, but it was too late by then because she's been too much of a flip-flopping cartoon character. Too much. You can't be everything. You can't be a mean girl, then you can't be the nerd, then you can't be the innocent girl, and you can't be the goth. She was the biggest wannabe. She played every side of every group. She tried to be too many things that she wasn't. And then in the end, she just became this numb, quiet person that I feel like she would have been the whole time. She should have started off that way. Too much. It was too much. But it wasn't even written into her character that she was trying to become like other people. She was just doing it. Oh, it just seemed more like bad writing than anything. And remember when Zoe did that thing, if you know what I mean, to Zig in the ravine? Yeah. Wink, wink. Maya forgave him instantly at her bedroom window and hugged him and kissed him and everything. Then her parents were coming and then she closed the window again. And then in the next episode, she was pissed at him. The writers did not care about this character. They were just writing whatever. They didn't even keep track of... That didn't even make any sense. Do you forgive him or not? Oh my gosh. Like, get off my favorite show, please. Jonah, I really like Jonah. Jonah deserved better. Easily rushed. He was celibate. He was a goth Christian. He was a reborn. Was he on drugs as well? He had this big, huge Degrassi past, and we see none of it. And I believe he also had a daughter. We seen nothing. Nothing, and I don't like that. Jonah had one of the most interesting backstories I've ever heard in my life, and I seen none of it. I only got to hear about it. It sucks. Jonah deserved better. Justice for Jonah. I can't believe this. Holly J, loved. Hated her when I first seen her. I was like, oh crap. I know you didn't just slap the food out of Darcy's hand. One of my favorite characters. You slapped her lunch out of her hand. How dare you? And I was really vouching for Darcy at the time too. She got back from her Christian club, season 7, showed up, she's dating Peter. I was really like looking out for Darcy watching this crap. And then Holly J really tried her, trying to be the new Paige, but mean with no reason. Paige always had a reason why she was being mean. Holly J did it like a cartoon character villain. She just did it out of nowhere. Thank goodness she was redeemed. And it wasn't too late when she was redeemed because they showed why she was redeemed. Because she watched as Anya cheered that she hated Holly J along with the other kids. And then she realized maybe she's been taking advantage of people. And also she needed to lose the money to come back down to earth. That helped too. She had to start working at the dot. Her head was like filled up with all this pride because she was rich. Kind of like what happened with Declan, but Declan was never kicked off his high horse. He stayed on it, and that's why he's down there. You can be rich and not act like that. Prime example, Jimmy Brooks whenever I find him. You can be rich and act normal. Jimmy was a great person. He was rich. Okay, Adam. I liked Adam. Adam was entertaining. The way Adam got off the show, I was a little irritated because Adam was the first of characters like this. That nowhere in Degrassi history has there ever been a character like Adam. I feel like they could have went so many other ways. Adam could have tried the surgery storyline. I was like waiting for that. And they took Adam out before we could even talk about it. I was like, when are we going to talk surgeries? I get Adam was like, okay, but we weren't even talking about it. Was there a scene where Adam was going to try to take surgery into Adam's own hands? That could have happened. We didn't see that either, because Adam did have like a tendency with the hair clip and all that, right? What scene I'm talking about here. I'm trying to censor myself. But, that's what I was wondering, like, how determined and fed up was Adam going to get before the binders weren't enough? Before the clothing was not enough? Was Adam then going to take it into Adam's hands, like I seen on the Tyra show? There were some people like Adam that took it into their own hands. Like, how dark, how deep, how much more were we getting there with Adam? Was Adam content? Because Adam had both Becky and Imogen fighting over Adam? Did that? Deserved better. I feel like there was more to do with this character, and I feel like they didn't really stretch the full extent of this character. Alex was perfect. such a good actress too, because every time I see Alex, I'm like, oh yeah, that's our freaking mean girl. And not in the same way that Paige is a mean girl. But I need to say, I have my issues with oh, the way she treated other characters, but this is not about that. It's about how I feel about the character overall in the story and how they were, and if they were entertaining and written well, and if they're my favorites. So, I liked Alex. She served her purpose. Zig was atrocious. I wish he was never on this show. Get off my favorite show, please. Yuck. Go down there with Maya. You guys are terrible. It's terrible acting skills. I don't care what anyone says. What are you gonna do? This is my truth. Make your own tier list. Sorry. Moving on. Connor, same thing. Get off my favorite show. Now, they did showcase a new character because he had Asperger's or whatever. That was a first. But I feel like after that one storyline he had, he just fell flat. He just became a love interest and a background character. Wasn't enough. I could say deserved better, but I really didn't want to see him steal any more underwear. I didn't care. I really didn't. Emma, I don't understand why I've seen some people's tier lists before I did this, and people like to put her at the bottom. I don't like that. It's weird to me. I don't get it. See? I can say that they're bad actresses and actors and throw them down here, but you guys can put Emma down here? You guys got gall, whoever done that. No. Loved Emma. Are you kidding? Emma was the show. Even if she wasn't the main character, because it takes more than to be a main character and have the most screen time. You have to do it well. Because Maya had the most screen time and she was the main character in her season, but she was absolute garbage. But Emma, entertaining. You know what scene I think about when I see, like, Emma? I like that scene when those new boys moved in, the Chesters. Chester, Chad, and whatever the freak the other one's name was. I liked that. And the way she stood up for herself. She wasn't going to be cute or get cute for the boys just because they showed up. She didn't care. She was like, I'm going to do my face mask and wear my tie-dye shirt. And the other girls ran to get dressed up and Emma didn't care. I liked that. That was, like, really cool how she showed. Like, she stays true to her character. She doesn't flip-flop. Like Maya, who's a billion different characters all mixed in one. It's like 30 people wrote this character. All over the place. Emma's consistent, but she's not one of mine. She doesn't go up here, but she's consistent and I really like her. Owen was a background character and an extra, but I really liked the part he played in Anya's storyline. I really did. Didn't know too much more about him. I wish there was more like home life stuff with him, but he didn't have that much lore for me to care too much. But he's on thin ice. He can stay though. Shantae. I'm shaking my head and you can't see it. Deserved better. Easily, no storyline, no A-plot whatsoever. I know nothing about a character I've seen on this show since I first started watching it. She's been here forever. Since the beginning with Emma. And that episode I talked about with the Chesters, she was in that episode when Emma was still there. And then she went off to still be on the show when Fiona and Imogen were there. She graduated with their class. Not Imogen, but Fiona and Holly J's class. So she got very, deserved better. I feel like there was something there with Shantae. We didn't get much. No home life. We did know that Dave... this might be a fun fact for some of you. Dave and Shantae were cousins. Did you know that? You did not know that. I know you didn't know that. You did not know that. I knew that. She deserved better. I wanted to see more with this character. She's a one of a kind. Never seen a character like this in Degrassi for sure. Also, I don't know. There's not much to say because, I don't know. I almost want to put her on You Can Stay But You're on Thin Ice because there was not enough lore. I liked how Shantae was bold. She wasn't a nerd. She was like a lone wolf. But she wasn't exactly one of the popular kids, but she stood her ground. Like, the way she, stood up to Bianca, and other girls were scared of her. I really liked that about Shantae, And the way she wrote The Grapevine, that was cool of her. So I wanted to know more about this whole independent, she was really cool, the things she could do. What the freak? Like, she had these girls cowering in fear. They wouldn't dare cross Shantae. The way she spread some gossip and end a character was everything. She started the I Hate Holly J, or she helped it fly. She was a backer in that I Hate Holly J campaign that Ellie started. Shantae had the movement to make that happen. If it wasn't for Shantae, that would have never worked. She's the reason Holly J turned around. She should be an interviewer when she's older. We'll see. Who knows? Like, we'll never know. Winston, ew. Yuck, get off my favorite show. Worst. One of the worst characters ever. Winston was absolute garbage. Just disgusting. He meant nothing. He was no one, and he could have easily not been there. I almost feel like Maya shouldn't even be on the same tier as him. I almost want to put her on Please Stop. She did ruin the show a lot, so I'm gonna put her on Please Stop just because she doesn't deserve to be down there with Winston. That's just wrong. Zig can go. I did like Maya's season 4 storyline. That was amazing. I really liked that storyline when Katie came back home and they dressed up in pajamas and she took all her mom's pills or whatever just to pretend like everything was okay. And also after the bus crash when she was watching like videos all night and her mom was like, "Ready for school?" And she looked like surprised. She took the cover off of her head and it was broad daylight and she wasn't aware. That was really realistic. I really loved the way they portrayed everything she was going through in season 4. It was amazing. So, with that said, at least she can go Please Stop. Because even that arc in season 4 can't make up for all the crap she's been doing since season 11. Yikes. Dallas was very, very well written. One of the best actors on the show. Fight me! I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath and I need to have some water. Dallas. One of the best actors on this show. I'm serious. Remember what happened to Cam and the way he just went after Allie? And then when he was on the roof, when he was all like, "We could have did something. You did nothing." I love that scene. You could just feel it, all that emotion. Dallas, oh my freaking, he can go to my loved tier. Easily. Because remember when he didn't start off as a villain, you know, being one of the hockey jocks and fighting with Eli and everything, you know, whatever, right? But remember what he did for Allie in the Leo situation? The way he stood there and he kind of mediated. He was like, "I'm going to stand here and you're going to apologize to her. You're going to say whatever she's going to say whatever she needs, and I'm going to be here so she can get this off her chest. And you don't need to say anything back to her, and I'm here just in case you try anything." Because Dallas was ready to beat Leo up. Oh my goodness. I love how he stood there and did that for her. So she could get closure. It was so mature of Dallas. Oh my. Dallas, bro. Like, whoa. Alright, Hazel. I got quiet there. Hazel had a nice A-plot in season 2. After that, not her fault. This character was forgotten pretty much and didn't really have a storyline. This was like Paige's best friend, and as soon as everyone graduated, Hazel left immediately after they graduated. So Paige went on to have her college episodes with Marco and everyone. Hazel didn't join those college episodes, though she was supposed to be Paige's best friend. You almost don't feel like they're best friends anymore because over time she just fades so far into the background you almost don't even remember. You think that Paige's best friend is Ashley, though she fought with Ashley more than anybody. Hazel was the one that Paige had the least conflict with. But she can't really do nothing about it. She had the potential with the whole self-hatred episode. It was really good. They could have exposed more about that. There were more depths they could have discovered with it. Could have been a reoccurring theme with her. She pretended to be Jamaican. Are you kidding me? She could have been hiding so much more. She could have had like self-hatred in a lot of other ways. She could have pretended to be someone that she's not and talked to a guy online. She could pretend to have a face that she doesn't really have under makeup, even though makeup wasn't that intense. Then she could have pretended to have eye color she never had. She could pretend about her hair over one summer. She could just, I don't know, wear a wig and pretend like, "Oh, my hair grew over summer and it's long and naturally blonde." Anything. They could have really went further with like the self-hate thing. She came to school blue. Blue contacts, I'm sorry. And who knows? They would have known it wasn't real. I don't know, something. But they could have went in more further depth with her self-hatred. That would have been nice to see more of that and other elements. Okay. Zoe Rivas started off as a cartoon character, but I really liked Zoe when she was looking that story. Oh, what was that? Season 13 when she was looking for a real dad. The Raja episodes. I love this actress. She's a good actress. I want to put her on Deserved Better, but I feel like she was there. The way her mom wrote her a letter and said, okay, goodbye. I just wish they never wrote her as like a mean girl because she did it so poorly. You could tell she was a goody-goody on the inside. Like girls like Alex, they mean that. She did it so well. It was perfect. Zoe didn't play a mean girl very well. At all. I think her meanness just came from her thinking she's better than everybody because she was a celebrity on West Drive. But I liked her. Grace. Grace was a first of her kind. We never see another character like Grace. There aren't any other characters on Degrassi like Grace. Grace was our first straight tomboy character. Any other character that came off as a tomboy or whatever, those characters were not straight. It's like people forgot what a tomboy was completely. A tomboy is a girl that dresses like a boy, but she still likes boys. Like, and that's the point. And I liked how she was that. She liked Zig. Zig shut her down. I felt so bad for her. Like, she's that girl that couldn't get the guy she wanted, like Ellie, in that way. Sad. One thing I didn't like about Grace was her cartoonish tech abilities. Some people were tech savvy. Toby was tech savvy. He won a competition. Grace was tech savvy out of nowhere. She won no competitions. We didn't see her study that much. So, I don't know. We didn't really talk about this character enough. Like, oh, she has straight A's. She wasn't really dubbed a big nerd or anything and had super high grades to just be this extremely tech savvy girl that can hack into surveillance systems and everything. Like, it was too much. But I like how she had boundaries with Maya when Maya crossed the line where she'd be like a joker. Like, she was really acting like the Joker in that season when she was taking those pictures on the stairs with Zod. And Grace had to tell her, that's not cool. You're actually lame for doing this, and you're not cool. This is not aesthetic. You're a cornball. Like, I like how she put her in her place. So, put her on thin ice, but she's not necessarily on thin ice. I don't like the way they handled that, like, disease storyline, too. The acting, listen, I have to talk about the acting. It wasn't convincing at all. It's just like, I could quote that very scene in the bathroom where she was, like, screaming at Zoe. Just like, oh, like, I can't, I'm cringe too bad. I can't do that to myself. She's on thin ice. But I do appreciate everything that is Grace, but you're on thin ice. Becky. Becky was amazing. I loved when Becky showed up. I was like, ooh, what a nice change of pace. She isn't necessarily like an extremely rich girl. That's just, her personality is money and rich. She was a character that was known to being a goody-goody Christian and went against it. I liked that. She challenged it, and you know, everything that comes with that was very good. I didn't like how she ended up dating Drew. I don't like anybody near Drew. Okay, we know how I feel about Drew. If you can't tell now, you'll figure it out in a minute. He's coming up soon. I liked Becky. I loved that storyline when she was playing Realm of Doom online with Hunter. That was amazing. I like how they showcased chat rooms and video games. That was so realistic. Like, we do that. Like, girls do that. Like, the way they got naked in the garden together to their avatars. So funny. When she found out Hunter was not in her grade, she, like, ran away. I didn't like that. That was kind of stupid. But Imogen was kind of, like, laughing at them. But, I don't know. I guess it's not acceptable when a girl dates younger. But when a guy does it, it's not acceptable in high school at all, but it was tolerable enough. Because when Johnny and Allie did it, it was tolerated. They teased them, but it was tolerated. Becky wouldn't even entertain the thought at all. I wish they had more of a storyline about that. Like, if it got out a little more and how everybody would react to, like, oh, rumor has it that you and Hunter are a thing, and he's, like, literally, like, 14. Becky, you're 17. Like, ew. you know, but it didn't really get out, so no one really got to react to it much. But I want to say she deserved it better in a way, because the way I didn't like how she ended up with Drew. She just kind of threw that milkshake on him, and you seen it coming on that scene. Like, she was pissed, and he had a drink, and of course she threw it at him. Kind of cartoonish the way Becky ended up. Like, I want to put you on thin ice so badly, Becky, but I liked those plots with Becky. They were good. In the court scene, that was not easy. The way her whole family, they really all gave her the cold shoulder because of what Luke did. And they wanted to bury what Luke did, but they were such good Christians. But they wanted to bury what Luke did to Zoe. They could deal with what Luke did to... Oh my goodness, I can't even get the words out of this. They could deal with what Luke did to Zoe, but they couldn't fathom the idea that Adam and Becky were going to be a thing. It's crazy to me. Like, if they're going to be mad at one, keep the same energy. If you're not going to let Becky date Adam, don't let Luke get away with attacking Zoe. That's all I wanted them to do, but they were hypocrites, and it was gross. So, Becky can be unliked, because she went through crap. And she had to battle her family. That was the first time we seen that in Degrassi history. She didn't get kicked out, but, you know, they acted like she didn't exist. She got the silent treatment. Liberty Van Zandt, one of our favorites, one of our OGs. She was great. That pregnancy storyline was insane. The JT storyline was crazy. She was there at its very wholesome middle school beginning. They never did the middle school storyline again. They did it once. They didn't go back that far. After Degrassi rebooted with the new batch of characters, they started as 9th graders. They never went back to 7th grade. So you got to know more about like Liberty and her cringy crush on JT and all that crap. I really liked those moments. But as time went on, her storyline was about her being pregnant with JT. I want to put her in loved, but I'm going to put her in liked. She was decent. But also I'm going to put her in deserved better. There's something about Liberty and the pregnancy storyline and how it was mainly about JT taking drugs. And then she just pops up and gives the kid up for adoption. There wasn't more about her struggle, but I did like how they finally took a turn and showed how the boy struggles with pregnancy, not just the girl. They showed both sides of it. I feel like they showed more of JT's struggle than Liberty's even, which was weird. Like, come on JT, you're not the one having it. And her just having it really quickly and then giving up for adoption and then not thinking about it and then getting drunk and everything in her living room. I don't know. There could have been more there. I really did like that episode when she was pissed and put stupid Mia in her place. Well, I don't think she put her in her place enough. Mia was like crying over dating JT for 3 minutes while Liberty knew him her whole life. She had the gall calling her a robot just because she doesn't want to be a theater actor about him dying. What a loser. I couldn't stand Mia for that. Mia, you'll have your turn. But Liberty easily goes on. I'm gonna try to hurry up because there are so many more characters down here. Oh, there's not that many left. Come on. I'm gonna put her on liked. I did like her. Campbell Saunders. Campbell's was a clown. Campbell tomato soup, whatever his name is. I am so close to putting Yuck Get Off my favorite show. Campbell was struggling. Other than that, who was Campbell before that happened? Not to say his personality was only that. We know he had to play young Dean Winchester in Supernatural. He was busy. Booked and busy, but honestly, he didn't really change the show for me. And no, he didn't help with Maya's growth. That's not what that was. Maya was a flip-flopper and a wishy-washy person before Cam, so doesn't count. Drew, the way he showed up harassing Riley, I couldn't stand that. I was like, how dare you? The way he was like a little snitch and tattletale with his mom, ew. But I liked that Drew did have his mom involved in his school life, so he got things done. He didn't let anybody walk over him. He really used his mom to like shut it down. Kids should tell their parents when something's going on. He did get hazed and he told his parents. I like how he did that. Over time, does Drew grow on you? I had a friend that had a crush on Drew. I did not understand her crush on him. I was like, oh, cool. Haha, yeah, okay. I don't get it. But he looks great nowadays. If you've recently seen him in anything, he looks great. I seen him in something recently. He looks good. But I can't say I liked Drew, but he is on thin ice. I did like that episode where Ellie pretended to... Oh no, was it Drew who pretended like he forgot his coat so he could come back in and they made out or whatever. That scene was cool. The fact that he was dating, I didn't like what he did to her, but I really liked him with Bianca. That was awesome. Ellie easily goes to loved. She works so hard just to like fit in and be herself without like crumbling, because so much was going on at home. None of the boys she liked her back, though she was beautiful. I relate to her. Again, this is another personality that makes up my personality. You can see it on my second channel. So far I told you Ellie, Declan, Jake. Watch that to figure out the rest. So you can know who is Amaltus if she were a Degrassi character. It's like combined, I relate to those characters. But Ellie loved. I can't put her up here because she didn't have that many A+. Again, for a character that's been here since season 2, if you really think about Ellie, she was almost a background character. She had that one storyline when Marco came out, where they're like dating, and whose bedroom were they in? Paige's bedroom or Ashley's bedroom? And she asked Marco, "Do you think I'm hot?" And then he was like, "I don't know if I like girls." Like, that was better on like Marco's half. I don't think that developed her character. I feel like after Marco rejected her, she was like, her growth was stunted until she started to fall for Craig. Ellie was great. I didn't like how she's too fragile for Claire, or not for Claire. Who'd she date? Craig. Ellie was too fragile for Claire, and I said Claire again. Fuck it, 2 tears in a bucket. Let's get high. She was too fragile for Craig. I wish they never crossed paths. I don't like how he dumped his model girlfriend in Degrassi Goes Hollywood just to get with Ellie at the last minute. And when he told Ellie that he was in love with her just so she could hand him back his crack was terrible. And the fact that Ellie wanted to be with him after all that was insane to me. Oh my gosh. And the way they made a promise to meet up later in life at the airport when she called Joey to come get him. Like, was that his crack addiction? Or was that, oh gosh. Or was that when she finally went back home? I don't remember. But Derek was terrible. I wouldn't say ill get off my show to him because he served his purpose as a bully. Just like Alex. It's not about how they treated other characters, it's about how they're written. And if I enjoyed them, and I enjoyed Derek, he was insane with the way he beat the F out of Jane. Like, he looked at her like that wasn't a girl to him. That wasn't a person to him. That's someone he needs to get all his frustrations out, and he beat Jane up like that was a dude on the street. The way he just came back to keep kicking her in her ribcage, he wasn't even done. He reeled his foot up to do it again. That had me so surprised that a boy beat up a girl in Degrassi, because the boys in Degrassi are known to be princes. But Derek was a full-on monster and deserved better. Only means not saying he was a great character or anything, but what was his home life like? And what in him changed him? Was it just a matter of, oh, I'm hanging out with new guys? He became so different. Him and Danny used to be the double D, and they were just minding their own business, and he turns into this full-on creep. Like, what happened to him? What changed him? I know he was adopted. What was his adopted life like? The way he made fun of crippled people? I guess he was always like that, because he was pretty terrible. He's not on thin ice. He deserved better. Like, I wanted to know more. Same here. Dave deserved better. I wanted to know more. Oh man, the best Dave episode of all time is the one when they came out the Mano a Mano radio show with Sav and Adam, and he dressed up like a girl to go in the girls' bathroom. Oh my gosh, that was one of the best episodes of Degrassi. The way he challenged the school by dressing up and walking in there. The guts, the bravery. The way his dad was like, so much for being the bigger man, because he seemed like wearing a skirt or whatever. But he was trying to get Wesley and Connor on board, but they didn't want to get suspended for that. But, you know, this whole bathroom thing was crazy to him. Like, he wasn't just one of those guys screaming about bathrooms or whatever, just to be like a bigot or annoying, or he was just really standing up for what he believed. Dave was in the bathroom with Adam when it happened. And a lot of people may be on the other side of this. I honestly do not care. But when it comes to Dave's scenario, remember the scene with Adam? Like, really think about it. Let's switch places for a little bit. Let's say Dave is Adam. Adam is Dave. Let's say Dave was peeing at the urinal with that device. Perfectly fine. Do what you gotta do. and then starts staring down at another person in the bathroom, just really looking, eyes pinned in that region, pinned. Catches wave of it, and then what? Freaks out and leaves. Dave didn't care that Adam identified however Adam wanted to, but you were like gawking at him in that manner in the bathroom. No other person in his life has done that. None of the other guys in the bathroom have not done that. I doubt the gay guys were even doing that. So the fact that Adam was like that curious to the point that you cross like a very serious boundary, that's where the issue was. Dave experienced something firsthand. Adam shouldn't have been staring like that. Like, go watch videos, Adam. Literally, go watch videos in the comfort of your home on the internet and see how using the bathroom works. Do not ever look at a real life human being using the bathroom. What's wrong with you? I'm on Dave's side. That was terrible of Adam to do that. It was freaky. Toby Isaacs. I would never put Toby on Get Off My Favorite Show, yuck. But Toby was a nerd that was ignored by the cast and the writers. There was no storyline with him. He had that one bulimia episode. Sure, but that was it. That's the last A-plot we get from him. The scene where he's like, see, I'm eating. You know, to Ashley when he was eating the burger and pretending like he was eating and trying to lose weight, trying to be the cool guy. He kind of gave up on that dream pretty early. And I don't know, I wanted to see more of Toby. Like, the struggles of being a nerd, never getting the girl you want. But I did like to see that he had a backbone when it came to Holly J. He's like, if you don't want me in person or in front of your friends, I don't want you. He has standards, and I love that about Toby. I could put him on Loved, but he didn't have any A-plots. I did like that story when he got like beat up by the Lakers guys. That was insane. The way he like clapped back. Oh man, he clapped back online after they killed JT. Like, those guys are psychos. We did know his home life, so it's not like he wasn't written well. He was there from the beginning. We knew enough about Toby. He just wasn't as good as he could have been. Could have been better, because he kind of slid toward after like season 3. You didn't get much from him. So I don't want to put him on thin ice. I don't. I'm gonna put him on Deserve Better. There could have been more done with Toby. Him and Kendra and him having a girlfriend was cool. I wanted to see him have an actual girlfriend for like a long time, but he didn't get one. Sucks. Moving on. Tristan. I like Tristan. He was the only thing holding together that crap known as season 14. With all those new characters, the Mayas and Ziggs and poor actors. Like, this quality of the actor. Yikes. Tristan was one of the better actors. Believable. Okay, now that we're done talking about Tristan, I did like that A-plot with Mr. Yates and how he felt like that was the only person that loved him. Miles didn't love him much. I like how he stood up for himself. Tristan was a character that didn't necessarily have to come out of the closet. He was already who he was. He didn't need any validation from anybody. He didn't get bullied because he had that confidence, and he knew where he belonged, and no one really tried him. And I liked how Tristan had all that bravery. I liked Tristan. Did he deserve more? I didn't know much about his home life. He was the brother of Owen. I didn't know much about Owen either. Like, I feel like he could have more too, but Tristan was the only thing that really helped me with season 14. When they went to Paris, like, Degrassi kids go to Paris, like, ugh. That's like something they would do in a movie, but they actually did that in a whole season. That was annoying, but that's where Ellie met Leo and blah blah blah. Zoe was being as cringy as ever. Maya was being worse. Miles was acting very poorly. Speaking of Miles, let me just drag him right down there. I'm sorry. Personality was terrible. Acting was very bad too. And when he ran into Dallas's kid and he was like, oh well, cartoon character, I get you're high, but you're a loser, bro. Like, you have no regard for a kid, you psychopath. And no, I Am Hope does not save Miles. That only goes for Lola, not Miles. You know what? Now that I'm remembering I Am Hope, I like the drug storyline when he took the horse tranquilizer. That was actually, he was a good actor in that scene. Anything before that was stupid relationship drama and him dressing up like a Western cowboy and all that dorky stuff he did in the parking lot. No. Shae was very well written, good actress, short-lived. I don't know her enough to put loved. I liked her. Again, another character that makes up my personality type. Very realistic. She wasn't a cartoon character. Not too much. That whole stuff in her butt with cotton thing was very ridiculous. Oh my freaking gosh. I wish she would have did something like gradual, like did foam. Because she said she got it from her mom's sewing kit. Like, foam would have been so much natural. If you've seen RuPaul's Drag Race, you should probably have done foam. And then gradually went up with the foam and pretending like you were working out. Like, make it believable. Like, even girls when they used to stuff their chest, they make it gradually. Bruce the Moose. Did I want more from this character? Not necessarily. He served his purpose as one of Johnny's goons. It worked. He did his thing in the background. I liked exactly where he was. I wouldn't say he was on thin ice. I'm actually going to put Bruce the Moose in liked. He was believable. He wasn't exaggerated. Him being ahead of Johnny is kind of weird. Look weird to me. He's not on thin ice, I wouldn't say. I didn't dislike Bruce the Moose. I liked his presence in the story. It made sense. He played his role very well. So, he's going to stick around. Jay played his stuff supreme. Jay supreme. He was your perfect villain. The way he enticed everyone into these dark A-plots was so perfect. His impact on Darcy. He even had an impact on who else? Who else did he sink his fangs into? Alex, even his ex-girlfriend. You know he had his fangs in Emma in the vampire episode, or when they were doing the vampire play or whatever, and she went down in the ravine, or you know what happened in the ravine. And then when he was like, got in Hazel's head, like, oh, if you keep hanging out with Paige, what are they gonna start saying about you? Like, she started second guessing it, like, oh my gosh, Paige was straight before she started talking to you, Alex, how dare you? You know? And I was like, really? Just because Jay said that, now you're like uncomfortable around Paige because of Jay? Yeah. Jay had a strong impact on JT as well. And Spinner. He's the whole reason Jimmy got shot, pretty much. He put it in Spinner's head to go with the plan that Jimmy did it. He was about to correct him until he pointed at Rick's foot, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, yeah, Jimmy set the whole thing up. Then Spinner went along with it, his best friend confirming it. And that's when he did it. So yeah, Jay. Very well written. He goes at the top easily. Funny, likable, but a villain. Anya was great. I liked Anya a lot. She was down to earth. This is another character that makes up my personality. I forgot her in my little thing that I did. I'm actually a lot like Anya as well. I relate to her a lot, especially in season 1. Oh my gosh. Oh, Anya. Anya's great. Her Dr. Chris episode was nice. Her military episode, I like how she really challenged herself and went to the military. She didn't want to be this frail little thing anymore. Like, she really broke out of that. And she seen an issue when she started doing drugs and crack. She really knew she had to do something drastic to get away from it. Because she did something drastic to get on it. Like the party life, or the crack scene, or whatever. Like, a girl that you wouldn't even expect to do crack. She wasn't even hanging out with people that would. But you'd be surprised, so. Yeah, I liked Anya for that. And I like her Dr. Chris arc with Riley. It was nice. And how she was someone Riley could confide in was very nice. Craig, instantly iconic. Yes, he's a problematic F-boy that dated 2 girls. It's horrible what he did to Ashley and Manny. But he's one of the characters that made me love season 2 and onward. One of the best written actors. Oh my gosh. Best actor on the show. And an amazing musician. Every song Craig sang, I have on my playlist to this day. I Will Rescue You, Dust, Freak. What are the names of these other ones? Like, all the songs. For any girl that's unhappy. Like, all the songs. For every boy that is bad. Whatever that one's called. And Drowning in the sea. Like, oh my god. I will rescue you. I will all of them. Anyway, Manny. I loved Manny was great. She had some pretty crazy storylines. I wouldn't say she was iconic to me, but I know she was an icon to a lot of people. People love Manny, especially the people that found this show over the pandemic. They instantly fell for Manny. I like her, but She doesn't go to my top tier, but she goes right here with Emma, where she should be, and it's nice. Katie was not well written. She's on thin ice, by default thin ice. I don't hate her. She doesn't need a please stop, but she's pretty much on thin ice. She wasn't the worst thing in the world, but she was who she was. She was boring. Actually, she needs to go to please stop. I'm sorry. Does she need to exist at all? Probably not. She could go, but I don't dislike Katie. She was just too meh that I almost don't care. She doesn't really need to leave. She wasn't a bad actress. She was okay. Ashley. I really liked Ashley. I want to put her on Iconic, but Ashley was really great. She made the show what it was, too. She brought all that melodrama that you love. Like, the way she slowly turned emo. I like how it was gradual. That's natural. Everything about her transformation was completely natural. Unlike Maya's emo transformation. It was out of nowhere. That was blunt. That was just so lame. And who else did that, like, out of nowhere? Claire also did, like, an emo transformation out of nowhere. Like, ugh, it's so lame. Like, anyway, she did it right. Fiona, she grows on you, but instantly you're like, oh, another rich kid in love with her brother and territorial over her brother. Like, it reminded me of Gossip Girl was changing the show. I would want her out of here, but she became better over time, and her Bobby storyline did make it feel like I was watching Gossip Girl and not Degrassi, but Gossip Girl is actually better than the season of Degrassi that Fiona was on. But I'm gonna put her on Please Stop. Oh, I almost did not like her, and she didn't have very many redeeming storylines in my opinion. Oh gosh, yeah, yuck, go away. Like, Katie, what is this man's name? I don't even remember, like, who? The college dude from Emma's storyline? Kelly? Ugh, no, Kelly. I liked how you, like, took the fall for Emma so she can stay in college, but she ended up dropping out too. But whatever. Jack can go. This was stupid. She never needed to be here. She was just a character that was unnecessary. Like, they could have used literally any other character and gave them more attention, rather put a new person here to ignore. Her storyline could have easily went to Katie. Katie could have been doing ballet and been a love interest to just anybody else. Fiona could have took that, but Jack was so random and boring. Jane's amazing. Jane is an instant icon. Jane is up there. Jane, oh my gosh. She had some of the best storylines. Well acted too. She's a good actress. I like how she was, again, a tomboy. Straight tomboy. Very rare. Actually, she was a little bit of a tomboy. I don't know. Declan said she was a tomboy, but she wasn't really a tomboy to me. She was a little more goth, but whatever. Those greasy braids she had, ew. In season 7, yuck. But other than that, I liked her. She has some really good storylines. I wish there was more of Jane, honestly. But I liked what I got, and it was great. Especially in that football episode where they beat her up. Oh my freaking gosh, it was a good episode. It was so crazy how she was just trying to, like, fight for something. Then she was like, why am I fighting for this? Like, she questioned it. Then she kept fighting again because she knew that girls were looking up to her. Then she had to keep going. And I like how they showed that even the cheerleaders were against Jane. Those were other girls. I like the whole depiction of that episode. Whoever wrote that one, well done. Jimmy's okay. I know this is Drake now, and everybody makes a big hoopla over that. He was liked. He was a gentleman. He stood up for girls. Yes, he called Ashley a slut in that one episode. He was a little younger. But Jimmy was very necessary. His A-plots were great with the wheelchair and everything. His dating life. It was all over the place, really. He was with Hazel, then he was trying to get with Ellie, and it was a struggle, but I did like that episode when he was trying to, like, get with Ashley. Like, they were trying to hook up, and oh gosh. And he just turned on the TV. But I really liked Jim. Casey easily deserves better. I don't even gotta think about this. Casey didn't have enough for me. I felt like this was a good actor. I needed more of Casey. His home life, it was getting so good. I know everybody probably feels like they got enough because we seen the group home. We seen his mom's recovery. We seen his dad get out of jail. We have enough of his home life. We had the Coach Carson episode. You know, we had his dating life. We had him being like questioned as a smart, gifted kid. Like, we been through a lot with Casey, but I feel like it wasn't enough because his storyline was getting so good. It's almost equivalent to having Craig be in his like prime episodes with Ashley and just now discovering his bipolar disorder and everything, and then being written out of the story. That's what it felt like with Casey. Like, everything was getting more and more intense and juicy. There was a lot to do with Casey's character. He got written out in like the worst time possible. Like, I feel like we just got to know everything about Casey, and he could have done more after this. I wanted to see him date Bianca or take up being school president or something. Like, Casey had more going for him. He really did. But they stopped there. There's more to this character, and I feel like could exploit that more. Luke Baker, the character that done it. I remember when that episode of the Who Done It came out, they're like, who did it to Zoe Rivas? And then I see Luke getting screen time. And I was like, Luke Baker's getting screen time. And immediately, not even 15 seconds into the episode, I was like, he did it. Because this character was irrelevant and didn't have any screen time until this episode. Therefore, he did it. Obviously, he doesn't need to get off the show. He served his purpose. He did what he had to do. He wasn't written the best. He was a background extra. There wasn't much there. I can put, you can stay, but you're on thin ice. He wasn't really much of a character. The way he like slammed his foot on the table when he was on house arrest during like breakfast, and the way he would like shout at Becky for telling on him for attacking someone, like, Luke was so crazy. Like, I wanted to see like more of what was going on in his head. They didn't show us. But then again, it's better to write in a way where you're not really like giving the villain an excuse or a pity story. Degrassi doesn't do that because it's going to make it seem like they're justifying and glorifying what Luke did. Like, it's okay, Luke suffered, he deserves to attack. So I get it. Like, he served his purpose, he can stay, and he's on thin ice. Marco created this show. I don't care what anybody says. Marco is Degrassi. When you think Degrassi, you think Marco. Whose face comes into your mind but Marco, Ellie? Literally, that's it. This show is Marco. This was one of my favorite characters of all freaking time. His innocence. His pure innocence when he started dating. Oh my gosh, it was so... I relate to him in that way as well. But I can't like make every Degrassi character me. But I relate to that part of Marco's storyline. Him being like so innocent and like giggly and like having this crush on Dylan. I swear none of the girls on the entire show reacted to a crush the way Marco did. Nobody was shy and panicking about what to wear. They all had like this confidence, like, oh yeah, I'm going on a date, and they just put on the outfit and go. Marco was freaking out and panicking, not knowing what color, what shirt to wear, in a frenzy. I think Emma had something like that. She wasn't really questioning what to wear. She wore what she wore, it got crapped on, and then she went back home and changed. She wasn't really worried about looking good. She knew she looked good. It's just the bird ruined it. But Marco thought he didn't look good before the bee came up in the car and made him mess up his hair and crap and put on a fedora. But I hated... Ooh, Dylan. I don't want to use the word hate here, but I couldn't stand freaking Dylan. You know how I feel about Dylan. I already... Oh, man. There's a video about me talking about worst Degrassi couples. Yikes. Yeah, Dylan's on my list. He was such an F-boy. He was, poor Marco, and that was his first, I can't stand Dylan, but Marco was, like, innocent and all that, and then he ended up, like, lost, and he almost did prostituting, he wanted a glamorous lifestyle, but he was in college, like, he just needed to be patient, like, 4 years of college, yes, you just got off of 4 years of high school, I know it's a lot of time, but now you gotta do 4 years in college, then after that, then you can party, Marco, you will have your time. As soon as you turn 22, it's time to go crazy, it's time to party, do everything you want to do, go to work and go crazy on the weekends. You'll have the job, the finances, and you won't be begging Ellie and Paige to give you money to go to the club every week and thinking about prostituting just to get enough money to have $50 to go to a club. Come on, Marco. He needed to be a little more patient. He got a bunny, he relaxed, but I liked that episode as well. Marco got to where he had to go. Is that everybody? Oh, I thought I was done. Absolutely not. Damien caused a very, very unnecessary rift at the end of season 7. The way he ripped apart Emma, Manny, and Liberty's friendship was insane. The way he sat there and dated all of them, and it only broke up the friendship when Liberty did it. It almost reminds me of that episode when Emma was like, ugh, I don't want people to know that, or I don't want Liberty and Chris to date because I liked them first, and, you know, it's going to make me look bad if she dates her after me. Something like that. And Manny was like, Emma, that's like the meanest thing I ever heard you say, or something. She was like so disappointed. So I feel like it only became an issue because it was Liberty. Like, do they see her as lesser? Like, it's an insult if you date the same boy as me, dork. Like, I don't know. So she felt like it made her look bad. Or does she think it made her look bad because did she think Liberty was cuter than her and it was going to make her look bad because he upgraded? Either way, whatever she meant by that, it was shady because Liberty was supposed to be her friend. So, yeah. I didn't like how when it was Liberty's birthday, they were pretending to be her best of best friend. I was like, you guys don't even hang out like that. You guys just threw a party at her house just so JT can get stabbed. Like, I blame Manny. I blame Manny and Emma for that crap. But Damien served his purpose. I liked him. He served his purpose. He came from Lakehurst and he wanted to be student president. He rivaled Liberty for that position. He wanted to date some girls. He picked all three of the main girls. He dated Emma, then he dated Manny, and then he dated Liberty in secret after Toby confessed to wanting to be with her. He served his purpose. Damien was liked. He just wasn't. He didn't have enough screen time. So, but then again, he came from another school. You can only like him so much. Like Johnny. You don't get that much of a backstory, but he caused a lot of crap. But he didn't have that much lore. Like, oh, like I didn't want to see his home life. He's clearly a rich kid. I don't care. Rich kids don't have problems in home lives. They're boring. Okay, Mia. Oh, oopsie. You slipped, Mia. You deserve to be down here. Get off my favorite show. Easily get off my freaking favorite show. Mia was the most boring. Listen, Nina Dobrev, I like the Vampire Diaries, I do. But her acting in Degrassi, yikes. I couldn't. I'm so sorry. But I'm keeping it 100% over here. Because I want to be honest. An honest fan can be brutally honest. That means I really liked it. I'm not going to pretend and gas anyone up and fill their head with lies. I will condemn you if you did wrong. I will praise you if you did right. Her storylines are poorly written. That model storyline was dorky and it was like a cartoon life. Nobody can relate to that. So it needs to be a B plot at best. She literally got A plots about her being a model. You need to be right next to Leia, the boring girl you started with. I like how Leia went LARPing, but that's more about Anya. That's what Anya's loved. And you are. Get off my show. Moving on. Claire. Claire was dramatic. Claire was crazy. Claire was Degrassi, though. I liked Claire. She fit in perfectly. I don't love Claire, but I like Claire. She was great. She can go right next to her boo. There, right next to Eli. You guys caused all that chaos and drama together. Perfect. Alright. Who the freak is ill? Peter. Listen. I don't want to go on another tangent, but I have to. Oh, Peter was on the show way longer than he needed to be. He truly was. He did not need to be there as long as he was. He was a villain. He served his purpose. He dated Darcy. He redeemed himself. But then he was just there to basically harass the girls and just stick around. And then he helped Riley with his gay arc. That was decent of him, but then he kind of stuck around and tried to date Mia. He attached himself to another character that was super boring. But it wasn't really Peter's fault. He did crack, and his acting was so I didn't like him. I liked how he started off as the villain, then he tried to be like this bro, and I wasn't convinced. And the way they isolated Peter later, Danny and Sav, I liked that, because no one wanted to be around this guy after that. And he was one of the rich kids, so you know I couldn't stand him. When they said the B word on Degrassi for the first time, that was insane to me. Because he called Sean that. I couldn't stand that. Like, why talk to Sean like this? He been here before you. How dare you? He deserves Emma, you don't. So yeah, Peter he's on thin ice, but he can stay. He served his purpose. He was supposed to be here. He did what he had to do. He was a villain. He antagonized. He made Manny feel insecure. He did everything he could. Or he didn't make her feel insecure, did he? He just showed her off or whatever. He thought she was hot. The girls at the party didn't. But whatever. They were jealous. Riley. Riley was great. I liked Riley. This was a new type of storyline. I often go back to this storyline and just watch this arc with Riley and Zane. It was really good. So you really got to see him like struggle to be what he wanted, and it was considered wrong for him to fight for that. But he was suffering, so just let him pick whatever feels good for him, honestly. Sav. My one and my only Anya. Sav was like Allie, but boring. Allie was better. They had a similar upbringing, so they had a lot of the same like restrictions. Sav couldn't date, Allie couldn't date. They both did it in secret anyway. They had ambitious goals. He had to be an engineer, wanted to be a musician though. She went down the path to be a scientist, and that's what she wanted to do, and she went after it. So they probably let Allie get away with more because she never switched up and said she wanted to be a musician. But they let Sav do that because his father thought he would starve if he went after being a musician, which is realistic of his dad to be afraid that that could happen because musicians don't always make it. Everyone can't be DJ Khaled, but take a shot at it and give it a time limit. And if it doesn't work, go be an engineer like your father said so you don't starve. That's my advice to Sav. So with all that said, he's on with thin ice because I liked Sav. He was nice. I'm gonna leave him right where he is. I liked him. Hunter was great. So much more to explore with this character. We didn't see enough. I've never seen a character so troubled and angry ever in Degrassi. Who was as angry as Hunter? And you're like, what is he mad about? It was like this natural anger that he had too. It's almost like it was subconscious anger. Like what? He was like pissed. Yeah. But why? I wanted to get to the root of that. He was the first character to be put in a mental asylum. The first. That was crazy to me. I wanted to see what that was about. He was the first character to date they and them, Yael, and the way he reacted to it. I wanted to know where he was going with that, because he said to Yael that he was straight. But he kept dating her anyway, but it doesn't change the fact that, because he's straight. Like, he was confused. I wanted to see how else he was going to react to that, honestly. Because he seemed to have an issue with that too for a split second at prom, and then it was over. But that's the very last episode of Degrassi, is the prom episode when Esme drop kicks Zig into the I don't know where, and then he rolls down on his motorcycle, and who knows what his fate is really. I think he was okay. They all went to a Hollingsworth house and read goodbye letters, I guess. Sean was very, very well written. Sean is love. I want to put him on iconic, actually. Characters like Sean, no one writes these characters. Poor characters that struggle, good kids that are in bad environments, where they have to question if they're good or bad, because they have to do things that are bad in order to survive. If they're hungry, they steal. You know? If they're stressed out, they partake in drugs and partying to put themselves at ease. Sean had to do those things. He wasn't a bad person, but he almost lived the life of a stressed out adult. And he was a kid. It was sad. The way he went to sushi night at the Nelson house, and they had to take their shoes off, and he had a hole in his sock and had to like cover it up. To be embarrassed like that because he couldn't even afford socks. But he didn't want to be pitied either. He wanted to hide who he was. He wanted to escape it. He didn't want to acknowledge it. But in the end, he ended up finding people that understood it. Like Jay. Though Jay made jokes about his house. Like, when they pulled up to his house, he was like, oh, is it a house or a lunchbox? I can't tell. You just called his house a lunchbox, Jay? And what do you live in, Jay? But I guess Jay can make those jokes. Because he lives in an apartment. Does Jay even have a house? He was at Alex's apartment. Where does he live? That's the cool thing about Jay. He stayed mysterious, and I'm not mad at it, actually. Moving on. Spinner. I liked Spinner. I didn't love Spinner, but I liked him. Terry was great. Deserved better, easily. She got thrown into a coma, but woke up from that coma, but then left the school. That was smart that she left the school. I kind of like that ending for her. It's not that part that I take issue with. Her whole storyline was based off her insecurity. Today, Rick. I may have mentioned this before because I talk about Degrassi a lot, but insecurity is dangerous on a teenage girl. It can make them feel so worthless, they will align themselves with the most abusive person ever because they think that's the only person that will like them because they're too insecure to think they deserve better. Terry probably never thought she deserved Spinner or Jimmy or JT or Sean or any other good guy. She thought the only thing she could get is probably Dean, Rick. I'm trying to name the worst of them. Like, she probably thinks she only deserves, like, the worst. Owen, Dean, Rick, freaking whatever, Luke. Like, that's probably all Terry would date because she feels like she's unworthy to date anything else. Like, that is dangerous to think that you're so unworthy you will align yourself with the most dangerous men. These were boys, but dangerous boys. Okay. JT, did he deserve better? He got killed off. JT's storyline, if you really think about it, what was going on in JT's storyline before season 5 when they killed him off? What was he doing? And was it entertaining? He was chasing Mia around and having like a TV show. He had a TV show, first of all, so that was kind of... He was like a celebrity, but no one cared. But he always wanted to be like an actor, and he did commercials and stuff. We didn't know much about his home life. I guess his grandma watched him, or his parents did at some point, but we didn't know if they were divorced or not. Because he didn't make references to living with his parents in earlier seasons. And then we find out that he lives with his grandma? I don't know where he was from, or where his parents were. We didn't know that much about JT. I don't think he deserved better. Killing off a character in a petty setting can be kind of realistic, and it was insane. It shook up a lot, and it left Toby's character kind of like by himself, but JT already left Toby. One of the last things he said to Toby was, give me some money or else, basically. And then Toby was like, who are you talking to? Like, no. And he's like, see, and this is why no one likes you. And then Toby was like, go away, stay away. And basically, like, he wasn't a good friend to Toby in the end. Anyway, but I liked him. He had a very good A-plot. It went insane. The drug storyline, the stealing. Yeah. Mo. I liked Mo for what he was. He wasn't on thin ice. He was decent. Mo was decent. I liked Mo. When I seen Mo, I was like, I knew, oh my gosh, so many guys like Mo. Most guys I knew were like Mo. Like, if you weren't Mo, who the freak were you? Like, you wear like band t-shirts, you make jokes, you wear skinny jeans, you know, like, most guys were Mo. Like, charismatic and kind of nerdy, some kind of super fan of something. Like, yeah, I like Mo. Bianca. When Bianca first showed up, that's when she was like fighting with Ellie. I didn't mind her presence. She kind of stayed to herself. She was a lone wolf in that way. She wasn't trying to be like the mean girl, though she had the personality to do it, but she never tried to do it. I respected that. Her adjacency to Drew. I didn't like Drew, but I liked her with him, so it finally made sense. Her becoming a good girl was nice. I wanted to see more of her home life. She did live with her auntie, as she said. And her auntie didn't think she was worth it or worth anything. She thought she was like a bad kid, basically waiting for her to turn 18 so she can like get out. So when Audra took care of Bianca and signed her for college, it's just about guidance. She wasn't a bad girl. She was just poorly guided, and everyone see the worst in her because she was bred in a horrible environment that she did not choose. So I liked that. Did she deserve better? Drew deserved better. You didn't need to break up with him, but she was on to bigger and better things, and that wasn't Drew. I liked her. Wesley. I like a good classic nerd. We should have them. After like season 12, basically, there were no more nerds. Like, after Wesley, there were no more nerds. Like, nerds didn't exist. He was the last nerd. They could write off Dave and say, oh, Dave was a nerd. Sav was a nerd. No, the freak they weren't. Sav was a popular musician that played songs at the dance. Wesley didn't do that crap. Dave was dating one of the more popular girls in the school. He was dating Allie. Wesley was the only nerd. Sav dated Holly J. He wasn't that much of a nerd. Wesley was a nerd. An actual nerd. And I feel like Degrassi should have majority emos, majority nerds. That's how most schools actually are. More Mo's, more Wesleys. That's what I want. So, Wesley deserves more. But he didn't have lore. Did I care to see who he was and what he was doing? They didn't give him lore. They didn't. I don't care about his home life, actually. He didn't seem to have like any deep secrets or insecurities. He just was what he was. For that, he can go down here on thin ice with Jake. Zane was great, but he was such a preacher. Trying to force Riley into doing things on his time frame. Why do you want him to do things when you want it done? When he's not even ready? You don't even know if that's what he wants. Zane was annoying. He was a talking, walking pamphlet, and it pissed me off. But you know how I feel about Shannon Jungkook. He is great. But I like him. I have to put him in like this has to happen. Like, I like him. But his character was so wrong. Oh, his character was so wrong. I don't like what he did with Riley. It was honestly pretty annoying. And he didn't have his own storyline outside of Riley. Riley's storyline before that was like antagonizing the other guys and figuring himself out. It wasn't based on just one love interest. He liked the dude that he kissed on the tree. And Peter. He kissed Peter as well. Like, he had other love interests. Zane, the world revolved around Riley. Zane was interested in no one. And he was like always single but good looking. No one wanted him. That is so hard to believe. Deserved better, honestly. Write him better. I want more. I wanted more out of Zane. That wasn't enough. There was lore. I wanted to know what his home life was. I cared. Goldie was great. Good for her for starting that club. After getting her hijab snatched off, she started that club, no thanks to stupid, spineless Winston. Disgusting. How dare she date that thing? Ew. She deserves so much better. I want to see more home life. I like that storyline where she took off her hijab in the bathroom and then ran out to put it back on. I liked that. Because she questioned herself, as teenagers would, because kids start to question, why are you wearing it? And any person that feels pressured will try a thing that they don't agree with, and Goldie did that, but she knew who she was, and she started, a group on campus to make people like her feel more safe on campus, and, that was very cool of her to do that. Not every student has the guts to do that. There are so many other students that could do that felt like they were ostracized and such. They didn't have that. But Goldie did that. Because she had the bravery. And the brains to put it all together. Vijay. Who? Exactly. Vijay put me to sleep. He was a new character. There was nothing there. I don't want to say yuck to Vijay because he didn't do anything ill. It's just... you're like Tristan. He was Tristan. But without the storyline. He didn't have a storyline like where anything happened. He was a background character and he was a supposed nerd. I didn't see the nerd in him. He was kind of like glamorous and had like a YouTube channel where he like sang covers. He didn't seem nerdy to me at all. That fart storyline they did was the stupidest, most cartoony thing they've ever done in Degrassi history. Keep that crap on Nickelodeon and off my show. I banished that episode. Disgusting. And that scene, ridiculous. Esme. She pussy egg. We never got to figure out what was wrong with her. At all. We didn't get much out of her. She was like a mean girl. She was a troubled girl. She hated Maya. We had that in common. That was nice. But, what else was there? I can only put her in deserved better because who was Esme? The show ended. Just like with Hunter. We don't know. I put Hunter on liked because I feel like I got enough to put him up here. Esme, I didn't get enough to even... But then again, there was more to explore with Hunter, too. Obviously, he deserved better. The show ended there. But I feel like I already got enough of Hunter. I wish there was more to get out of Esme. She was okay, but, I wanted to know more. She had a history coming up and a storyline. But it didn't end up happening. Because the show was canceled. Oh well. Raja was boring. Raja put me to sleep. Raja had no storyline outside of being a refugee. She was wearing a hijab one episode, then stopped wearing it. And I wish they would have had a storyline about that. What made Raja take it off? Can we see her getting dressed in the morning and not wearing it? Can we see a reason behind it? Like, I don't think there was enough there. Like, that's what it's based off of. Like, she was a refugee. We weren't keeping that a secret. Let's figure that out. She was a Muslim. I weren't hiding that either. So let's expand on the things that we do know about her. We didn't. So therefore, is Raja on thin ice? Says she please stop? I have nothing to say. Like, I was bored. Along with Wesley. There just wasn't enough there, but there wasn't enough lore, so I don't care. Yael had all the lore in the world. Deserves better. I'm gonna put her in front of Johnny here. Not that any of these other ones are in order, but Yael, I needed to know where this was going. This was probably one of the most exciting storylines in Next Class, and she was one of the most exciting characters. Her and Hunter's dynamic, I want to see where that was going. With his anger and her identity, I wanted to know how those worlds were going to meet. The way she just started snitching on Saad, I didn't like that about Yael. Like, get out of his business. And you are, like, stereotyping him. Like, whoa. Based off of his identity, like, you should know better. As a person that wants everybody to respect their identity, you didn't respect Saad's identity. You seen him, you made assumptions, and then called the cops. Yes, he was talking to people in emails about how he missed home and how he doesn't like it and how he wasn't fitting in. But you decided to read his email because he was frustrated, because he was getting bullied, and you thought he would do everything in those emails based off of who he was and what he looks like. Really, Yael? Out of all people, how dare you? What a hypocrite. Like, a serious hypocrite. Like, you dare do that to Saad. Like, what's wrong with you? Speaking of Saad, Saad's down here. Saad was amazing. Saad deserves better. I wanted to see more. I really cared. I did, and there was nothing there. I like how he was outspoken. And he had a stance on things that were opposite of a lot of what the majority believed. Because everybody's wearing their shirts, protesting for whatever, and standing with some place where something had occurred. And Saad wanted to speak up about where he was from and how things like that always happen, but everyone's silent and they wouldn't dare stand up for it because it's happening right now. And they silenced him. They literally cut off his microphone. They didn't even want to hear his side of it. The way he sat there stunned when they cut the microphone off because they disagreed with him, they didn't even want to understand or hear him out. He wasn't anti-anything. He was just pro-everything he is. And they couldn't understand that he wasn't a sheep that had to bow down when they said so. They didn't want to understand his point of view, and I like how Saad wasn't afraid to speak up for himself. He doesn't come from their world and their mindset, but they didn't want to try to understand it at all, and that was terrible. I didn't like that, and I want to see more. Boz. I wanted more of this character as well. I seen him leaning in a direction, and I was becoming curious. He seemed like he was one of those guys that were going to go bad. Oh, so bad. He was going to do something, and I could see it broiling in Boz. The way they started him up, the foundation. Whoa. The way he seen Yael, whoa. I know where it was leading. I can just say that much. I'm not the writers to this. I didn't write Boz's character, but I know where this was leading. And I wanted to see it. I'm telling you, Boz was about to be a villain. We were about to go in a new direction we never went with this character. Boz was something new that we never seen before. Confidence, everything he stood for. No one could talk him out of it. The way he viewed women. Boz was leaning somewhere and I needed to see it. But they didn't show us. This was probably about to be our first Degrassi incel. That's what I'm alluding to here. This was about to be our first one. And I wanted to see what degrees and what things he was going to partake in. Was he going to be like Derek? Was he going to be more like Rick, manipulative? He did have a book on how to manipulate women. Remember that when he was reading that book? Because he wanted to have Yael date him. And then she started dating Hunter. What was going to happen then? When he was staring at her jugs at the fair and giving her whatever he wanted. Well, I'm not speaking English. And then he was giving her whatever she wanted because he was like, oh, those jugs are fat. I'm at your... I'm at your every command. I'll do whatever you want. You know, like, it was weird. But I really want to see where that was going. Oh well. Because that was only going to get worse with age. And I was so curious. And then he was like, Yael's one person. What do you mean they? She's one person. She's not multiple people. Boz was the only character that said that crap, and that was very different. We usually don't have characters that go against how the majority of characters think in Degrassi, so Sod and Boz kind of had that in common. Lola's on here twice. You will still go right here, cartoon character. Thank you. And the last two. We're finally at the last two after almost an hour and 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. Rick and Dylan. I will drag them to where they need to go because they're going to a similar place. Rick did what he had to do. He was necessary and a very good actor. His storyline was great. He didn't have that many scenes. We didn't get to see too much home life. When he came home, he said, "Mother, Father," and then went to go grab the gun. Whoa, that was sinister. Oh my gosh. Okay. Mother, Father. He was so like, I wanted to see his home life. Like, he addressed him as Mother, Father. That was crazy to me. Oh my gosh. Deserved better. Like, he was trying to kill people. Yikes. He was abusive. Did we want to see him grow? Any kind of pressure would have made Rick turn out like that. It just so happened to happen sooner than later. If they would have left him alone and no one bullied him, he would have still did this just later in life and to someone else. And they probably wouldn't have been able to stop him. Maybe Sean wouldn't have been able to stop him. It took Sean's bravery to stop him, or Rick would have just went crazy. Did I like him personally? Of course not. He's a psycho that basically got Terry written out of the show. He's a maniac that caused a rift between Jimmy and Spinner, crippling Jimmy and Spinner having to hold that secret forever. He did a lot, but he was well acted. He was great. This arc with Terry was insane. The betrayal of the evil boyfriend was so well done. I'ma put him, I don't want to put loved. It's weird, but we're not going to pretend like this character wasn't written perfectly. We could have got a little more backstory. I would have preferred that. So I'm going to put him on loved up here. He was well written. It's not about how he behaved. It's about how he did it. Honestly, yeah. If any other characters were written good or well, even though they were like villains, they would have been up there too. Luke was poorly written and he did something terrible, so he could go down there. It's so unclear what age Dylan is when he starts the show. Does he go to Degrassi or is he like a college student that TAs in the library? That was never clear. So I don't know what the age gap was between him and Marco, so I'm having a problem with placing him. I didn't like the way he treated Marco. It was obnoxious. He was a decent enough actor. He was convincing as the F-boy that he portrayed. So I liked Dylan for what he was, and he did everything he had to do. Did he deserve more? I honestly didn't want to see any more from Dylan. He was a rich boy with a convertible. I don't care to see more about rich characters. I don't. It makes me want to pull a Paige from down there, honestly. But she didn't bring up money and cars and stuff. But she had a lot of depth and other things. So this is my list. At last, I'm finally done. Oh my freaking gosh. Here's all the characters I want off my favorite show. Vijay, Declan, Nina, sorry, not Nina, Mia, Zig, Connor, sorry Connor, you gotta go. Winston, easily worst one on the list. Like, put him first. He needs to go first. Please leave. Along with Leia, terrible. I'm gonna put these ones in order really quick, in order in which they need to go. Oh no, Zig needs to go before Cam. At least Cam was a good actor. Connor's in the back. He wasn't necessarily terrible, but he was just unnecessary as crap. Like, okay, he was good for one storyline, then he could have, like, moved back home, really. Because he was Mr. Simpson's godson. Like, we got the Asperger's storyline where he, like, broke Allie's pencil and spit on her or whatever. Well, Allie broke the pencil, and then he spit on her and pushed her on the ground. That was it. And then after that, he could have went back home. Oh, wait, he's his godson. That means he had nowhere to go back to. Okay, never mind. He had to stay there. Maybe another family member could have took him in, but he could have been written out after that. He was unnecessary after that, but seeing him as Jenna's boyfriend, I didn't care. But, yeah. And my favorites are up here. Jane, Marco, Sean, Jay, Darcy. Darcy goes in front of Paige. I said in front of Paige. There we go. And for the top rank, we're going to put these in order as well, because these ones matter. Darcy first. Jane's actually gonna go back there. Then Sean, Marco. Ooh, Marco. Get back there. Craig, Marco, Paige. Excusez-moi. I say excusez-moi because of Paige, and I still say that to this day. Like, Paige is literally part of my lingo. Like, I say excusez-moi because she does, and I liked it, so I took it on. So, there we go. There's my list. And I'm finally done and out of here. That's my Degrassi tier list. Oh my freaking gosh.